How we doing? I'm catching a cold. That's what this is, but hopefully we get through it. I had a souvenir shop reach out to me because we live in a touristy area by the beach, and there's this souvenir shop who reached out to me who they're under new ownership, and the new owner wants to make some retail merchandisers is what they're called. I believe that's what they're called. They're like display units that you hang your hats on, or your shoes, or your necklaces, or your T-shirts, or what have you. It's items to help sell the items that you're selling. He had a lot of merchandisers in the store from different brands. Nothing matched anything, and he wanted some consistency throughout the store, and that's why he reached out to me to make 10 of one style and 10 of another style. So and both of these have some construction relationship to them. So they kind of match each other. And so there's some uniformity throughout the store. And so I'm going to show you how I went about making one of these. I've already posted a video on another one that was talking about my first experience with my Festool domino. I'm getting chill bumps. Just oh my god! I love that tool. I finally found a reason to buy that tool, and I did. Um, but then this video is about the second retail merchandiser. It was a heck of an experience. A big part of the experience was engineering the construction of it. uh, I spent a lot of time scratching my head and trying things, and that's not quite right. Or I've got a better idea because these things need to last in the store for a long time, 10 years minimum. They need to last forever. So I built them like tanks. They're solid as a rock. There's construction adhesive or wood glue at every single connection where anything comes together with anything. I don't want something to get too much humidity and start warping. I want everything to remain rock solid for a lifetime. These things are built very well, and I delivered them yesterday. But check out the video. Also, please subscribe. And here's another thing: I have some tools listed as Amazon affiliate tools, list here, and also a number of tools on my website at island-crown.com. Uh, they're basically all Amazon affiliate links. And if you purchase, I'm not just selling any tool. I'm not selling any. I'm presenting tools that I use, tools that help me do what I do. And I'm not trying to sell you toilet paper or refrigerators, but I'm sharing what I do with the people on the other side of this camera. And if someone were to purchase anything, whether it's great or small, I would get a little cut from that, and that helps out the channel. It helps out what I'm doing, what I'm trying to present, and I would appreciate anything like that. It wouldn't cost you anything extra. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. And what another thing on the website, I have only one plan right now for my signature bar stool. It's an outdoor bar stool. Plans are available for purchase. It's a digital download. It's an amazing outdoor bar stool. I'm in the works of getting other chairs and rocking chairs and maybe some tables and stuff. Again, it's not just any product, but it's the products that I usually make. I'm sharing what I have with you, and I hope you like all of it. And please help me as much as you can. I've been making some videos for a while, and I know most of them are not good, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to improve each one. I'm trying to make something better. And anyway, please check out this video. I know I'm rambling. Thank you. So I made the original prototype, and I need to modify it a little bit. And this is essentially the base. I've got 4 pieces that hit on the side of each other. And I had these made up.
and these serve two purposes. One, it's got a 1/2 inch coupling to thread in some 1/2 inch pipe, and two, it's a pan that I want to pour concrete into just to give some additional anchor to this, so it won't be top heavy, it'll be bottom heavy. The original set had 4 wheels, so I had to modify this a little bit, cut these in to make room for the wheels. But we decided that the wheels aren't the best, and the ones that he has there now are not on wheels, they're on adjustable feet. So we're going to change this to be adjustable feet. So I'm rethinking the construction of it, and I think I got it figured out though. So this will have a hole in the center to receive this coupling, and that'll dictate where this ends up. But underneath that, I think what we're going to do is cover the bottom with 1/2 inch. And then I still have, if adding the 3/8 to here, add the 3/8, stack it all up. That is like 3 7/16, which works out good for me. I thought about putting a 3/4 inch base, but that made it, I'm going to have a 1x4 cap on the end, and you're going to see that base sticking out. So the 1/2 inch base is the answer. And so what I'm going to do is glue and nail this 1/2 inch on, then we'll flip it over. And just like the last set of everything, I'm gluing every single piece to everything. I want it to be rock solid, and not just this week or next week, but 10 years from now, I want it to be rock solid. So that'll be the base that the pan fits into. And even though the pan's kind of wonky, as you can see, I'll be able to clamp it down. I'm gonna have to put some kind of a cap on the ends also, because I'm still pouring concrete in here. Okay. All right, I got my pan in place. I put a little 4-wall frame around it, and there was 2 corners kind of picking up, so I clamped them down, and then I put a screw into each side, and I sealed just with a extreme stretch caulking. I sealed around the edges because I'm going to pour concrete into here and here. After the concrete sets up and is dry, and then eventually I'm going to put this on top. And I'd like to work from the top down, but I have to be able to pour concrete. If I get this pan a little out of whack, I can waller out this hole a little bit. I could chew it out, it doesn't matter. It's all going to be hidden. But I think that'll be good like this. And eventually the bottom will be presentable, even though no one's ever going to see it. But we're going to have 1x4 capping it like this, and then somewhere in here we're going to install the little adjustable feet. The entire project is tedious and unusual, and I think normally built out of iron or steel, angle irons or something like that. But the first one that I made, it went together, and I think it's going to hold well, and I think my ideas here will prove that it's repeatable and consistent, and because there's going to be 10 of these for this retail establishment. So carrying on, I'm using the track saw to rip these down. I'm ripping them on a 46-degree bevel. It's a process. 4 pieces per column, 9 additional columns to go after I made the one. You see over here I've got my 9 bases, and they're full of concrete. They're a little heavier than I wanted them to be, but
I was
it is what
crossing
it
the
is.
street when I met the
I think it's
love
going to
of my
be okay.
life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way.
They're not going to
Not the
tip
dog
over.
walker,
I know
nor
that.
the hot dog vendor.
And I also know I don't feel like
Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that
jackhammering that
amazing
concrete
smell?"
out. This one is ripped nice and pretty. 10 inches wide on a 46-degree bevel. I've got 2 other sets made. That's the first of the 3rd set. One sheet makes up a column with a little bit of excess. You can see I'm keeping one hand over here on this side on the base plate. If not, it'll want to tilt over with not too much effort. So if I keep this side down on the track, it keeps a consistent cut, consistent bevel, and it works out very nice and clean and straight. So it's going to be a lot of that today. Weather's good for it. It's not too windy. It's not windy at all, really. Temperatures are good. So that's what we're doing for a good part of today. All right, I got all my plywood ripped, my 3/8 inch rough sawn plywood. I've got 9 sets of 4 pieces to make the 4 sides of each column, 9 columns. And now I'm going to rip, it's going to be like a filler piece of deadwood, kind of, where the 2 pieces of plywood come together, something in the corner just to give it a little meat, a little something to tack to, and something to a nice glue surface, because this is only 3/8 plywood. I don't want to rely on glue only on those 3/8 rips. So I've got some scraps of 3/4 inch plywood. I'm going to rip into pieces like this, 3/4 by 3/4, and this is going to be the meat in the corner, the dead wood. Hey there, we're back in the garage. I got my 4 walls of the column, and on those I'm going to show you one that's already been done. I'm gluing and nailing or stapling a piece of 3/4 to the plywood, so that when I bring this piece in, it's got a little meat. Not only a little meat to nail to, but a lot more glue surface. We're going to glue the bevel and then also this, so there's going to be, compared to what this is, it's going to be a tremendous amount of a glue surface. And I got some band clamps to try to draw these together. I did the first one without any clamps, maybe a few clamps, or parallel clamps, what they were. I ended up getting these band clamps, and I'm going to try to, I think 5 on each one will, if it all goes well. I've never used these before, so it's a new experience for me. But I think it's going to hold it all together really well. So anyways, I've got my glue, I've got my 3/4 by 3/4 strip of plywood, and I'm going to fasten that down this edge. I'm using 1-inch staples, so they're not going to go, they're going through the 3/4 material into the plywood, the 3/8 material, but they will not poke out the back side. They're not going to be embedded into the 3/8 very much, but with that glue, it's enough to hold, and I'm not going to aggravate it too much that it's going to rip it loose. At least I hope not. Just like that. Gives it a lot of strength for what it is, Once it's all together, it's going to have a lot of glue surface. I think it's going to, well, I don't think, I know it's going to, it firms up very nicely. Nice solid column, 4-sided column. So I'm going to continue with these and then prepare for the big glue up and clamping session. Okay, here's the big moment of truth. I have 4 pieces for one column, 4 panels, sides, components, and each of these 4 have a 3/4 by 3/4 strip of plywood glued and stapled to it, like so. So now it's time to assemble the 4. I want to tack them all together and then band clamp them, and it'll be one. It's as simple as that. What could go wrong? What's the worst thing that could happen? Having that little lip on there allows me to suspend this on the end of the table, which is a good start. I'm going to glue the top of this 3/4 inch piece, and then I'm going to glue the edge of the bevel get my gun ready. I'm out of staples. Good eye. Good thing I have staples right here. Perfect. And I believe, I hope so, I believe the grain lines up as they are. And I don't want to make mistakes. That looks nice on the end. I don't want to nail the heck out of it. I just want to get it tacked pretty well, so it doesn't fall apart when I put the clamps on. All in all, that's not bad. Then I can roll this and glue. Not bad. Here's my spacer. This plywood is a little curved, but I believe it all lays down pretty well. Okay, this is actually, as imperfect as it is, it's going pretty well, I believe. I don't want to get too worked up about that edge right now. It's open a little bit in some areas, but there's 2 things. The clamps are still going to draw it all together a little bit, but the clamps are going to be about 2 feet apart, so it's going to draw at these points, and then there's going to be this area, but then I'm going to burnish that edge and fold whatever the sharpness is on there. I'm going to mash it in, and it's going to grab all the glue and seal up very well. So let me get those clamps. I've got my clamps. Took them off the first one that I clamped, which is looking pretty good. I've got this to keep it up. Got another thing here. I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to bring you in to show you the burnishing. So looking at this edge between these 2 clamps, it looks really good. You see it's open a little bit right here, but we're going to deal with that. And then getting past here, this one's open a little bit more, but we know it's got a good amount of glue in it. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to address all of that. Good view of that open miter or bevel. I've started to use a 6-inch long impact resistant bit. It's got a nice rounded edge and it's hard. But then I had this idea, I need something a little easier to hang on to. I have this old drywall hammer from when I was a youngster because I needed it one time, I believe. So I bought it. But look at the side of that beveled edge. If I could rake that in, you see just a little bit of pressure and you see those corners roll over. Where are we at? Right here. A little bit of pressure. Did it open back up? It did open up a little. A lot of this looks so good, but this one part where I decided to bring the camera in, still got a bit of a gap in there. And that's going to be what it is. I'll have to address that later. But for the most part, like 99% of it, the edges clean up really well burnishing like this. You can see all that edge, that's kind of opened up too. Some areas are nice and tight and some areas are open a little bit. But we know there's a lot of glue in there. And that really cleans it up well. You can see just a fraction of an edge in there. But it's considering that's a rough material, this is a good feeling. It's good to the touch. And I'm going to continue treating these edges. So, after the first one of these was built, I had to re-engineer the way the tower connects to the base. I felt it needed it. We had a slight change, and with that change I decided to re-engineer, and we'll go through all that. But after making a few of these, I'm going to go through my process now that all my components are built. So I got my tower, and I need to mark the holes where the half-inch pipe's going to come out, and the very top. And I'm going to cut this very top with the track saw. show me the edges of, I'm going to put a little support in here. For the structure in the tower, which are 3/4 by 3/4, the tower will come on and sit something like that. And here's a look down inside. So I've got all my holes marked for the lower rod and the upper rod on all 4 sides. And I've got a 7/8 inch Forstner bit. So here's a major engineering phase. I put this bolt on with a washer. I have this 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch reducer. I put a lock washer with another nut on the bottom. Then I tighten this all together. Now I flipped my rod over. I need to make the rod 78.5. So put some tape on it and mark it like that. Now I'm just going to clamp this rod to the table and then use my sawzall with an old blade. My little baby sawzall, my cordless hacksaw. So the next step, I have these 1/2 inch 6-way couplings. They're big old knuckles. And I'm going to put one of these at each end of this pipe. 36 inch pipe, and I already drilled my holes 37 inches apart. So I need the center of this to be 37 inches away from the center of this, which also means the top edge is 37 inches from this top edge. Instead of trying to measure to the center, we can just measure from the top edge. And as I just loosely put them in there by hand, that's at 37 3/8. So we still need to compress these 3/8 of an inch. So what I do is I take these shorter lengths, I could lay that down and clamp it. Put one in here. Instead of getting the pipe wrench out, I could do some of this. And then measure. That's still 3/16. What does that do? Yeah, I like that. But I want to make sure these are parallel. Perfectly parallel. I'm going to look down this one and see that it's parallel with that one. That looks pretty good. Ready for assembly. So here's my contraption. It's going to go inside the coupling. Put the thread into the coupling. So that's very well connected to the coupling, which is welded to the metal box, which has concrete that is encased in wood everything's glued and construction adhesive. So this is how this goes, and then the tower slides over. It's kind of like that. And this dog bone contraption slides over the threaded rod. The threaded rod goes through the dog bone. Then I take some of these 18-inch pieces, so the rod is loose, but it goes through the center. The 4 of these on that 6-way connector, and then the 3-foot section connecting all of these, they're going to keep themselves in good shape. They're already, they're very strong, very secure. I haven't even put a wrench on it yet. So then I've got this cap, and I've got my 2-inch recess here in these corner pieces. I can put a washer and a nut. And now when I tighten this up, it's going to draw the tower to the base. That's it. It's snug. I don't need to force it. But that's putting pressure on these 4 corners, drawing it to the base, and pressing it all together.
I was crossing the street when I met the love
7.5 feet in the air, so no one's going to be able to look over into
Nothing would
this.
stand in my way.
I
Not the
talked
dog
with
walker,
the
nor the hot
owner
dog
of the
vendor. Finally reaching her,
establishment.
I asked, "What do you
If
call
we
that
need to make
amazing
an additional
smell?"
cap in here, I told him I'm happy to do that. But this is essentially it. It could come apart if it needs to for any reason. I didn't want to seal everything up and not be able to disassemble anything. You never know. It may need to go through an opening. It may need to be broken down for whatever reason. I can go around to these 1/2-inch pipes on the top and put a little cap on them.
From there.